Okay, welcome back everybody. Let's look at the shutter speed assignment. For what we're going to be doing is we are going to showcase our knowledge and understanding of 3 different shutter speeds. So let's look at what the end product should look like. Once you get this all posted and ready on your photography page, lesson 3 will show you exactly how to do that. But lesson 2 is all about showing you how to operate the camera to make it do the things you need it to do. So we're focusing on unit 2, which is shutter speed. And you're going to show 3 different versions of the exact same composition. Okay, so we have labeled fast, medium, and slow. So shutter speed measures the amount of time that the shutter is open on your camera. If it's open for a very, very short amount of time, it is going to be able to freeze action. So if you zoom in here, let's see if I can get this zoomed in. I can't right now. Oh, there we go. If we get this zoomed in right here, you can see that this is frozen in place. Okay. Let's see. All right, and then if you go to medium, you'll see it is slightly blurry. It kind of freezes the action a little bit, but it does blur it. So the difference is here, nice and a clump right there that is very clear, crisp. This has a little bit of fuzzy edges. And then the slow shutter speed you'll see over here is blurred completely. So it shows a lot of action. Same thing down here, you're going to do a second one, which a fast one will freeze the action, medium will have a little bit of blur, and then slow would have a significant amount of blur. So much blur that you don't even think you can see what the object is. Okay? All right. So 6 images are required for this unit. You're going to have 3 across for the exact same composition and 3 across for a different composition with the same type of settings. And then for a bonus, you can do a drawing or writing with light, or painting with light is another way to look at it. So you take any object into a dark space, or you can even not have an object, you could just have light. Go into a dark space where there's no light coming in, open up your shutter speed for a long amount of time, and then illuminate it with a flashlight or a pen light or any kind of light. This was a pen light that was used right here. And you can illuminate the object. This is a skull that's been illuminated. And then you could also try drawing with light. So I'm going to show you how to do that inside here. So things to think about when you're getting ready for this assignment is, let's take a look at shutter speed and the basics of shutter speed. This is a shutter speed scale. So shutter speed on your camera will be shown, or even on your smartphone might be shown as just the number 8,000. It won't show the fraction necessarily. Some cameras do, some cameras don't. So you have to be mindful of maybe what that number is showing. And once you get used to it, you'll understand it. So this shutter speed scale goes to 1/8,000. So that's 1/8,000th of a second. So super fast. It's opening up really, really fast. And because it's opening up fast, these are the things that are going to be able to be visible. It's a short amount of time the shutter is open. So it's really, really fast. Because it's a shorter amount of time, less light is actually coming to the image sensor. Less light is coming into your camera. So if you imagine, you're going to have to be in a very well-lit situation to be able to afford a really fast shutter speed. So you're probably going to have to be outside on a bright sunny day at a soccer game or something like that where you can freeze some action. So the third thing here is that it freezes motion. So it will stop motion if somebody's going up to shoot a basketball into a basket. It will freeze that motion so that it looks like somebody just snapped a quick picture. There's no blur at all, okay? Because it's a fast shutter speed, your sensor isn't open for a long amount of time. It's not going to have as much grain or as much noise. The longer you have this open and it collects more information and it fills in some of the dark spaces, you might get some more noise or grain. Okay, so high shutter speed is going to be considered, or a fast shutter speed, these numbers right here, all the way from 1/8,000 to 1/500. Okay, so when you think about creating your composition for this project, think of anything above 1/500 all the way up to 1/8,000. Now, for a medium shutter speed, you're going to look between this scale right here. Okay, between 1/60 and 1/250. Okay, anything here is going to be medium. And then anything below is going to be 1/30 all the way down to 30 seconds. So this is a fraction right here, 1/30. And then it keeps going down. And then these turn into a quarter of a second, half a second, 1, 2, 4, 8, 15, 30 seconds long. That's a really long shutter speed. Okay. So let's take a look at some examples. Give me just a second to pull up some examples. Shutter speed that students have done in the past for this project. You saw my example. Let's look at some student examples. Okay, so this is a student example. You have slow, medium, and fast right here. You can see that she was swinging these, looks like little candle lights. Okay, so swinging the candle lights and showing the blurred action here. It's almost unrecognizable because it's blurring. And then right here, you can see it stops it slightly, but it's not as crisp. And then finally, the last one is very much in focus. Okay, same thing here. This girl is swinging her hair. And then as you can see, there's a lot less blur. And then finally, it freezes the action right there. Here's another example. So the student, you can see they're both dancing or jumping. And this has some blurred action here. This is medium blurred, and this is stop action right here. And then the same thing in the hallway. Somebody doing a backflip. You can see that there's a lot of blur here. There's a medium amount of blur, and then this is frozen. Now notice that the image does get darker right here. As long as I can see the image, that's okay. We're going to be learning about setting exposure later. So don't worry about it looking like it's not properly exposed just yet. I'm going to get you to that point soon. I love this example. This student did an example and set up a pyramid of cups and then had his friend kick the cups. And so you can see the blurred action right here of the cups. So it shows both the cups in place and it also shows them out of place. It's pretty cool. And here you can see there's even some blurred action here with the medium and a little blurred action with his hand. But then when it comes to the fast action right here, you see that these are all frozen in place, really crisp, and even his hand and his leg is frozen in place. Notice again, it does get darker over here. We're going to learn more about that in the exposure unit. But as long as I can see the image, I think we're going to be okay with that. And then here's another example of a flag movement, slow, medium, and fast. You can even see the great wrinkles inside the fast action right here. This one's slightly blurred and this one is significantly blurred. You can do it with a water fountain as well. So you could go out to a park if you wanted to and try this, but make sure you're in the shade. If it's in the bright sun, you're not going to be able to get any effects like this in the bright sun. So make sure it's kind of shaded or near sunset time to be able to get the images that you need. So again, here, somebody on a skateboard in the hallway, slow, medium, and fast. Okay, here's some examples, student examples of drawing with light. So this person just went into a dark room, opened up their shutter speed for about 30 seconds, and then pointed the pen light towards the camera and did some just random drawings with their pen light. This kid had painted with light, so he's using a, it looks like a cell phone flashlight, and had his model sit down in the corner, spent some time painting him with light, and then asked his friend to sit over here, and then painted his face over here, and then asked his friend to stand, and then painted his face over here. So it's the same kid in the same photograph with the 30-second exposure. And you can even see the light here and here. The photographer has gone over and done that. I'm going to show you how to do that. And here's another example. Somebody is just sitting in a dark space. It looks like in a dark classroom and just doing some zigzag lines. This one too, she's holding a sculpture over her face, and you can see some light drawing coming in like that. And this one, she was holding a paint can and giving the illusion of spraying light from a paint can. So there's a lot you can even do with like sparklers or anything like that at night. You can twist lights at night and it'll create a streak effect. Why don't you go online and take a look at some other examples for light drawing or light painting. Okay, so one last thing I wanted to show you is a great Canon play exercise. This is a really good resource for you to use. It's linked to my Google Classroom. And what this is you're pretending that you have this scene in front of you, and this is your camera. And then you can figure out exactly what effects to put your, or what settings to put your camera at. So right now, this camera, this virtual camera, is set to manual. For this assignment, if you have it, you're going to be setting it to shutter priority, because you're going to prioritize the shutter speed and let the camera do everything else. So in this situation, you would put your camera on auto ISO. Okay. And you can see here, it automatically put it on ISO 400. Okay. So it's on shutter priority. The shutter speed right now is set to 1/8 of a second. Okay. You're going to have priority over that. This right here we're going to learn about this in Unit 4, but it's talking about your exposure. Is it a good exposure? If it's sitting in the middle, it's going to be a good exposure. I don't want you to worry too much about that right now, but if your picture is coming out black, if your picture is coming out white, and it's over here or over here, it's probably because your exposure is off. So this might give you a little bit of an opportunity to play around with the settings without getting frustrated. So let's start with a fast shutter speed, like 1/1000. Okay, and we have shutter priority, and we have this moving object right here. And let's see what happens when I take a picture. It freezes the action right there. Do you see that? Okay, I'm going to throw that. Oops, sorry, those are old pictures I took. Okay, so now let's try a medium shutter speed. So let's go to 1/60th of a second, and let's see what that looks like. Take a picture. You can barely see any of the propeller right there, because the 60th of a second is still considered pretty slow shutter speed, even though it's in the medium range. Let's try another medium range one to see if we get more. Let's go to 1/250. Let's see if that looks any different. You can see a little bit. That one might be a better example for your medium shutter speed, because you do still see the propeller. Okay, now let's take a look at a slow shutter speed, 1/8. You can't see it at all. Okay, so that's a very slow shutter speed. All right, so take some time to play around with this, and it's exactly what you would be doing if you have an SLR or a point and shoot camera, and possibly similar to a smartphone. I'm not sure if all smartphones have shutter priority, so we'd have to take a look at that. But set your camera to 1/1000, take a picture, try 1/250 or 1/60, that's up to you, for a medium, and then go down to a slow one. All right, that covers it. Now I'm going to get into exactly how to set your particular camera. Okay, for this video we're going to be looking at a digital SLR for how to shoot this shutter speed project. So you can see I have a basic setup. You can set this up anywhere in your house or studio, and I have a camera on a tripod. If you do not have a tripod, you need to set your camera onto a stable surface that does not move for all three pictures. All three pictures have to be shot the exact same way. I also have extra lighting here. If you don't have lighting, what I suggest doing is moving close to a window so that you can have a bright amount of light to work with for doing a shutter speed project. If you don't have enough light inside of your house, you need to move outside as much as possible. So let's take a look at the settings and how we can get this going. Okay, I'm going to turn my camera on. As of right now, I am set to manual mode. For the purposes of this lesson, I want us to set it to shutter speed mode. So for my camera, it is TV, which means time value. For a Nikon camera, it might look different, like school bell. It might look different and have an S up there for shutter speed. What that means is my camera is now set to shutter speed priority. And my ISO right now is set to 100. Okay, I'm going to move my ISO to, I don't know why, to auto. Okay, so now everything is automatic. The ISO is automatic and the aperture is automatic. Now the only thing I am able to set is my shutter speed. Okay, so now that my shutter speed, sorry, why does it do that? Okay, so we have three different ways that I need you to shoot this. One is really fast shutter speed, one is very medium shutter speed, and one is a slow shutter speed. So let's see what we can do here. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the back of my camera so you can see my composition is a roll of tape. The roll of tape is going to be spinning. So first let's try fast shutter speed. Anything that is above 500 is going to be fast shutter speed. I'm going to try 1000. So I'm first going to put my tape in focus. Okay, and I set my shutter speed to 1000. And notice what it did is it automatically changed my ISO down here to 200. And you can see my shutter speed is on the left at 1000. So for the purposes of this, what I'm going to do is I am going to spin this and put it on a self timer to make it easy for myself. It might take you several times to do this. If you don't have a friend who can help you or a family member who can help you. On mine, the drive is how you set the self timer. So you can see I set it right here, drive, and you can turn it to different settings, and I am going to do a self timer, and this one is self timer 2 times if you want to do it 2 times. I'm just going to try it 1 time this time. Okay, so set for a self timer. Make sure I'm in focus. Push go. You can hear it's making a noise. It took the picture. And I'm going to push play so you can see what it looks like on the back. Notice that was spinning, but it has captured it in mid-air. Very cool. So now I'm going to try the same thing, but I'm going to do this with a medium shutter speed. So I still got my self timer on. Now I'm just going to turn my dial over. You can see in the back here. I'm going to put it at 250. Well, let's do a 60th of a, or let's do, yeah, let's do a 60th of a second. Okay, let's see what that looks like. That's a medium shutter speed right there. Got it in focus. ISO is set. I'm going to set my self timer again. It's starting to beep. Oops. Let's try that again. I'm not really happy with the autofocus right now, so I'm going to switch it to manual focus because I think it's trying to find a focus. There it goes. Now it's starting to beep. Okay, now I'm going to reshoot that one because I actually started twisting it too early. So I'm going to reshoot that one. So I'm going to push. You can hear the beep. Okay, and let's look at it in better detail. You can see that it still captures the action, but it is slightly blurred. Okay, we're going to do one last one. It's just going to be a slower shutter speed. So I'm going to put this at, I'm going to try 1/8. So it looks like an 8 right there, which is 1/8 of a second. Okay, going to set it again. You can hear the beep. And you can see in that image, let's look again, it is even blurred even more significantly right there. Okay, so those are the 3 different pictures I need you to take on the DSLR. It does help if you have either a self-timer or somebody else who can push the button for you. You're going to do this again with a totally different subject. So maybe you could have a friend swaying their arms around really fast. You could have water dripping out of a faucet. I want you to experiment with several different things you can do. Okay, for this video, we're going to learn how to use a dark room to do the bonus photograph. And so I have this small little utility room, and I have my camera set up on a tripod, and I am going to be photographing this skull that I have composed inside of here. So I'm going to put it on manual. Right here, you have to put it on manual or else your camera is going to try to focus in the night and the darkness and it won't work very well. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to manually focus. There we go. Manually focus my skull. And then I'm going to set my shutter all the way. I'm going to set my mode to manual mode. Okay. And then I need to set also my ISO. Not to automatic because it's going to try to make it too bright. So I'm going to set it to the lowest I can set it to, which is 100. Yours might be 50, but set it to the lowest you can do it. I'm going to turn off my self timer. I don't need that right now. Single shot. Okay, so I've got it on ISO 100. Manual focus, manual setting, and I've already focused it on my object. And notice right here it gets really, really dark. Okay, I'm going to change my shutter speed to be, I can set it for whatever right now. This is 15 seconds. I can set it for 15 seconds, 20, 25, 30. 30 is the highest I can set it to. If I wanted to, my camera has a bulb setting, which means I can set it for as long as I want to. I think I'm going to set it for 15 seconds to see what I can get done in 15 seconds. There we go. Now, the other thing is my aperture,
which is right here, is on 22. That is the correct aperture. So you want to make sure you change it to 22. You want it to be a small aperture. If it's too big, it'll let in too much light. Okay, so I'm ready to take the picture. I've got the manual shutter. I'm in my room. What I'm going to do is I'm going to turn out the light and I'm going to go illuminate my skull as much as I can for the next 15 seconds, and we'll see if that's long enough. Okay, so I've got my, I'm going to use a tea light because that's all I have right now. I also have a cell phone light, but I'm using my cell phone right now to take this video. So you could use a cell phone light if you wanted to. I'm going to turn off this light. I'm going to push the shutter. It's starting, and now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to start to illuminate my subject. I'm just painting it with light. I'm going to do this for my 15 seconds. Okay, my 15 seconds is up. And let's see how the picture turned out. Push play. Cool, it's hard to see. It is really low light right here. It looks kind of cool, but I think I need longer with my light. So what I'm going to do is, this is where you kind of have to use your photographer self. I'm going to add more time. So I'm going to change it to 30 seconds. So change it to 30 seconds. And I'm going to change my aperture to open it up a little bit so that it reads the light a little bit more. So I'm going to set it to 16. And I'm going to try the same thing. So I'm going to turn out the light. Okay, here we go. Okay, shutter went off. Turn on the light and let's see. Cool. It's hard to tell, I'm sorry. There's a lot of reflection going on here. I hope if I turn this off, maybe you can see it a little bit. There we go. That looks super cool. So you can see a little bit of the streak of light on top, and you can see the skull is illuminated below and the rest of the dark room is not illuminated. It almost looks like the light is going through the cavities of the skull opening, which is pretty cool. So I'm liking the way that looks. Just so you know, you don't even have to have a skull in there. You could just go in there and draw with light and create your own shapes. That's up to you. Have fun with this. It's going to take a few tries to get it figured out. If you have problems, just let me know. Send me an email or ask in class. I'd love to see what you create.